Hi, I'm Drew. I'm going to be walking you through your new Lance today. We'll be going through it inside and out, checking over all condition, function of everything. Right up front here, we have your smart jack. What designates it as a smart jack is going to be outlined here on the side. It does have hitch height, memory recall, and an auto retract features. Setting both of those, you'll just follow these directions here on this large sticker. Other than that, it is very simple. You have up or down operation like a standard power jack. You have a light on the underside, gives you a point of reference if you are backing up to it in the dark. You also have a manual operation 3/4 inch drive nut here. 3/4 inch is going to be a common thread throughout the camper. Not only to manually operate this, you're going to have 3/4 inch lug nuts on this camper. 3/4 inch manual drive for the stabilizer jacks, as well as 3/4 inch gravity feed spare tire drop down. So we'll cover all that stuff here as we walk around. Jumping right back here to your propane containers. You have 3 20-pound propane tanks. They are full for you today. I find most people are somewhat familiar with these. They have an open and closed valve on the top. Same variant you're going to find on any gas grill. In between the two is you have a automatic switchover regulator. If you have both of these valves open, it will, once it depletes one tank, automatically switch over to the next. You will need to directionalize it if you use it in any other fashion. So whichever tank you're wanting to draw off of, go ahead and face that arrow towards that tank. This is of course all covered by your propane tank cover there. Is going to sit on these tracks here, and of course if this weight distribution bar was out of the way, it would just latch there right on top. Coming around here to this side, we have a door here. You'll find a door just like this on the other side that is going to house your batteries. You have 2 Group 24 deep cycle batteries that make up your battery bank. Just a fair amount of maintenance with these. 2 or 3 times a year, you're going to pull these vent panels, refill with distilled water as necessary. So there's going to be a clear marked water line under here. It is just very important to maintain that water line. Dropping down here, we have your power stabilizer jacks. Now this side, this panel covers the jacks here on the driver's side of the camper. Only one side, and this side is the only side with a power switch, so this is a good place to start. You'll flip on the switch here, run these jacks down till they make contact with the pavement, hop over to the other side, do the same on the other side. And again, coming down here, you'll just come down, make contact with the pavement, and stop immediately there on after. In this compartment here, nice storage compartment. They give you some tie down here for a generator or some sort, and then we have your 3/4 inch lug wrench here as well. So again, 3/4 inch is a very common thread. Down on the underside, we're going to see that 3/4 inch drive nut. Again, that is going to be your manual operation in the event that you have a power loss situation and you need to operate these stabilizer jacks manually. You have a lock here. This is going to be for any outdoor equipment. And this does come out on a ratchet, will extend significantly, and again that allows you to lock down any generators or power equipment there. Coming on down here, we have a small storage box here. My recommendation is going to be for any septic components, elbows, gloves, things like that will fit nicely in there. We have your city water connection here. Water pressure is very important when we are talking about city water. This is of course going to be the connection that you will use if you are staying in any sort of RV park. You will go ahead and utilize this. Water pressure is very important. We want to keep that water pressure anywhere between 40 and 75 psi. We're going to include a water pressure regulator with you today. As well as some other components here as part of your starter kit. So water pressure regulator, this one that we include for you today, is going to keep that water pressure below 40 and 50 psi. If you would like more pressure than that, you can always upgrade to a adjustable water pressure regulator or a high flow water pressure regulator. Either way, keep that below 75 psi. We encourage you to go ahead and hook your water pressure regulator directly to the water source and then your hose onto that. And again, this is going to thread onto the trailer connection by rotating that connection there. Very important to use a water pressure regulator. Outside shower here, nothing too exciting. Access to hot and cold water. You do have a hard on-off switch here on the actual head. So you don't physically see water coming out of there at all times. Just make sure that you do in fact have that water off at the fixture. Something like that. Hopping down here for the moment being, we're going to talk about your dump valves. You have gray for gray water, black for black water. Black's going to remain closed. 90% of its life, it's going to be spent in the closed position. Reason being is that solid body waste, you want to keep that in as wet or flowing condition as you can. So keep that in the closed position, use the monitor panel on the inside, only dump as necessary. Also treat these kind of like a vacuum lock. They should never be both opened at the same time. You want to avoid any kind of cross-contamination issues when it comes to that. Again, black for black water, which is going to be anything that comes from the toilet. Gray for gray water, which is going to be the relatively clean of the two, sink water, shower water, things like that. Standard bayonet style fitting here in the middle. Of course, your sewage hose is going to connect the very same way this cap comes off. Not like that. So you have 4 studs here around the outside. You'll lock this sewage hose there in the halfway position, give it a quarter turn, and that's it. One thing to utilize with that black tank is going to be your black tank flush here. This corresponds with a jet inside the black water tank, specifically designed to help blast off compounded toilet waste, body waste, things like that. Biggest thing to remember when utilizing this black tank flush is there is no check valve or anything to keep that water or waste in the tank. So if you hook a standard garden hose up to this and let it flow indefinitely, the path of least resistance is the rooftop septic vents. So one of 2 ways, either use a set time amount, 5 minutes with water rushing in here before relieving the pressure here down at the valve, or if you have a friend or somebody that can actually visually inspect the monitor panel while you're pumping water into this, that would be a good idea as well. Just keep it from overflowing and you'll be in good shape there. This is something that we do recommend to utilize every time you take the unit out. Keep as much of that toilet waste and body waste from compounding on the sides of that tank as we can. 30 amp 110 volt power supply here, only plugs in one way. As you can see, it will only be accommodated one way. It will be a slight turn to the right. We'll lock it in. Then you do have a secondary collar here to screw down and lock it in further. Directly below that, we have your cable satellite inlets there. You have a park cable service here on the left. If you're staying at a higher end campground, they will often offer a park cable service. The connection to the right is going to be for an aftermarket satellite package. Those are standard RG6 cable fittings that just pass through to the designated TV area of the camper. While we are coming up here to the slide out, we'll talk about a few things, being overall general maintenance to the unit, as well as specific slide out maintenance. When it comes to slide out maintenance specifically, you will want to maintain a 90-day maintenance schedule. What that is going to entail for the slide out is going to use a dry silicone lubricant on these tracks. And you do have these tracks top and bottom, left to right. So you'll spray that down again with a dry silicone lubricant, run the slide in 2 or 3 times a year to distribute that lubricant, and you're good for the next 90 days. On that same maintenance schedule, we're going to want to go ahead and condition these seals. We want to keep that rubber as supple as we can. Again, you're going to use a standard seal conditioner, of course a different product than you would here for the tracks. And that seal does run all the way around that slide. So we'll spray that seal conditioner on, of course follow the directions per the manufacturer, and you're good again for the next 90 days. Now do be aware that you have the slide seals in both directions. You do have a seal on the inside. Of course that one's not exposed to weather like this one here is on the outside, so maybe we condition that once a year. Lug nuts, tire pressure. Tire pressure for these tires is going to be 65 psi. That is the max tire pressure rating, not only stamped on the sidewall of the tire, as well as the data tag here on the camper. So just maintain that 65 psi. That gives you the highest flexibility in terms of weight, whether you are completely empty or completely full. That 65 psi is a good number. Also very important is going to be lug nut torque. Those lug nuts have been torqued to 100 foot-pounds here in our shop. Manufacturer recommends a retorque procedure the first 15, 25, 50, and 100 miles of initial travel. They want you to retorque those lug nuts down to 100 foot-pounds. From there on after, at the beginning of each trip, they want you to go ahead and torque those lug nuts down to that 100 foot-pound torque. Coming around here to the back side of the unit, we have bumper storage here. You of course can remove the end caps, store your sewage hose in there if you are inclined to do so. You also do have a receiver back here for a cargo rack, bike rack, anything like that. 100-pound max capacity on that. Rooftop access, you'll be climbing there up on the roof at the very least once every 90 days, maintaining any sealants on top of the roof. They do use a standard RV grade lap sealant up there. That is going to be a product that you need to source from your RV dealer. It is a self-leveling product. When you're up there looking around, you're just inspecting for any gaps, cracks, any degradation in the sealants. Other than that, we get a backup camera. We'll make sure that monitor gets installed into your vehicle and go through that pairing procedure separately. Nothing too crazy here on this side. Standard RV handrail up and over. Step is up and in. Septic vent here just kind of exists there, not anything you have to worry about. This door here is going to be for your potable water. This is the water that you're taking with you if you are doing any dry camping. You'll stick a drinking water hose directly into that orifice there, fill up till it overflows, cap it off. Of course, this is non-pressurized water. You do need to use the onboard water pump to pressurize that system and draw that up to the fixture. Just a reminder that water pump only needs to be used when you are on the potable water here. City water is pressurized directly from the line, and that is why it is very important for us to maintain a certain water pressure on the city water side of things. 6-gallon capacity water heater here. Manufacturer has two very specific things they want you to do with this. Anytime the unit's going to be stored for more than 7 days, they do want you to go ahead and drain this as well as the rest of the system. Very important to follow the The directions with this, from a safety standpoint, you of course want to give it ample time to cool down, a lot longer than you would think, maybe 8 hours or so. From there, it is very important that we depressurize it before going through the draining procedure. Depressurizing it is going to be as easy as turning the hot side of the spigot on the inside, of course cutting the flow of water to the unit first. Turning that hot side of the spigot on is going to depressurize the hot side of the plumbing as well as the water heater. Once the water heater is depressurized, you can come here with a 15/16 wrench and back out this drain plug here. Now this is an anode rodless system. There is no anode rod to change, but it is very important that we do keep this a nylon or plastic drain plug for a couple reasons. Number one, it's going to void your warranty with Dometic, as well as it is marketed as a secondary safety feature. If pressure were to gain to an unsafe amount in the unit and your pressure relief valve here were to fail, that pressure is going to overcome those threads and it's going to spit that out. Other than that, again, if you're following manufacturer's recommendation, the unit will be empty when you are starting your camping trip to feed 6 gallons of water into it before lighting it. Again, you're going to turn on that hot side of the spigot. That flow is going to initially be very airy and bubbly while we feed 6 gallons of water to this. Once that flow normalizes at the fixture, that is a very good indicator that you are full here and you can go ahead and use the water heater as normal. And we'll get to the switches there on the inside. With any propane burning appliance, it is very important that we protect these orifices from mud dauber, flying insects, intrusion, and this is no exception. So we'll want to protect this inlet here, as well as your other propane appliances here. Refrigerator, again, other than protecting it from flying insects, intrusion, not really too terribly much to do from a maintenance standpoint here. Again, give it a visual inspection once a year, twice a year. Make sure nothing's gotten in. And again, screen off these vents here to keep any mud daubers, flying insects out. Control of this is done from the inside of the unit. Other than visually inspecting back here, again, we don't really consider this a customer serviceable unit. Vent cover comes here. Tabs go in first. Line up the square holes there. And once you are locked on, give them a quarter turn there to keep that from coming off. Dropping down here, this is going to be your furnace. Again, not really considered a customer serviceable unit, and the number one thing you can do to keep it in good working order is protect that from mud daubers, flying insects, things like that. This is your exhaust. Let it exhaust. Of course, don't put a lawn chair up in front of it. When it is on and operating, it will melt anything that you put in front of it. This area itself here is kind of designed to be an outside TV area. Of course, you have multiple power sources here to power a TV. The train of thought is that you would go ahead and mount this to a secondary TV that you would carry with you and store on the inside of the unit. When utilizing this mount, the top goes on first, and then you have a little button here to as a release. So the top goes on first, hit that button, that's going to allow you to overcome that and lock on there. Again, we have a couple 110 volt all-weather outlets here, a couple USBs, and a 12 volt cigarette lighter style receptacle to accommodate a 12 volt TV. Again, kind of some things that we've already seen here. Foldable handrail, and steps do come up and in. Down low here, we have a auxiliary propane port here. You can use this for any high flow propane appliance, gas grills, propane fire pit, propane heater, any high flow propane appliance will be accommodated. This is what they call a quick disconnect here. You have a locking collar here. You'd insert the male end fully. That locking collar is going to snap back. You do have a valve a little further back. As with any valve, If you are with the flow, you're on. Across the flow, you would be off. And then a little rock guard here to keep any road debris out. A little forward of that, we do again have another 3/4 inch drive nut there. That is to drop down that gravity fed spare. Crank that down till the spare tire makes contact with the pavement. Maybe crawl under there and go ahead and wrestle that out of there. When you are changing a tire, you are going to put the jack directly on the axle as close to the tire as you can without it interfering with your work. In this compartment here, we of course have a nice fold out card table, as well as a removable basket here. You'll want to make sure you go ahead and lock that down during travel. Keep any of your gear from slamming against this door here. Light switch further in there is going to be for the lights on either side of the tongue up front. So you have a few lights there. Again, just to help it light any work that you may have to do after dark up front. And then the light to actually light the compartment is going to be a tap light. You just tap on the lens to turn that on and off. Again, a lot of this stuff we have already seen there on the other side. Of course, the other half of your battery bank is here, and that is pretty straightforward. The only thing that we have not seen is going to be your portable solar plug here. That is a direct connection to the battery bank, essentially a plug-and-play connection for a portable solar panel. This would be used in conjunction with your rooftop solar, although most of those kind of portable solar options tend to more be like a battery tender or maintainer for that battery bank. So manufacturer specifically recommends that anytime the unit is going to be in storage for more than 7 days that we go ahead and empty all the water from the system. When doing so, you're going to start generally with your fresh water here. That white handle dumps the freshwater tank. That corresponds with a 2.5 inch PVC elbow on the back side of the tank. Generally will dump your water in a couple minutes there. And to open that, it is just a 6-inch pull towards you. From there, once that is dumped, and you only do need to dump that when it has been in use, we're going to come over here to the low point drains. These low point drains are going to drain all the in-between plumbing. So everything in between water source and fixture is going to be drained via these low point drains. A little hard to see, but they are in between the axles there. So you do have to kind of crawl a little bit underneath to see those. And you do have a hot line and a cold line. Again, that's everything in between water source and fixture. You'll drain those too. Next, after that, you'll hop up here to the water heater and follow that procedure that we discussed earlier to go ahead and drain the water from there. Follow those recommendations, again, for any winterization process or just good general maintenance. Again, manufacturer recommends anytime the unit's going to be in storage for more than 7 days that you go ahead and do so. So all the windows in the unit are going to work the same except for the emergency exit windows. We'll cover that in a bit. They are all going to have this pivot point here that you can fold out. From there, you just crank the windows out. And again, that's going to be every single window except for your designated emergency exits. All the windows also are equipped with these two-way projector style shades. Of course, that's going to be your screen option there. This would be your privacy option there. Lights here, back reading lights. Switch is a little hard to find. It is actually behind the fixture there, and it's just a standard push button light switch there. Jackknife sofa here is equipped with recliners. To lay this out in its bed option, it's a little difficult. You may have to open up the recliner momentarily to get on the underside of it, but lift from the bottom, help it with the back, make sure everything's out of the way. and it should go ahead and lay down like so. Same on the way up. It's just kind of may have to wrestle that up or down. Recliners, of course you have one here, one on the next seat over. These lock in the out position, so it is very important that you close them with an inward motion as opposed to a downward motion. So to close them, we're just going to come here and close them like that. Here on this side, kind of a lot of stuff going on. We have your main light panel here inside the door. Your patio switch here is going to be on a 3-way switch. Of course, middle is going to be off. One direction will be a bright white LED. The other direction will be an amber colored, what we consider a bug light. Awning light. Awning light is on a lighted switch because when that awning is in the in position, you can't see those lights. So if it were to get put on inadvertently, you could tell. Courtesy light is just a light that you can hit coming into the door to light your way. And slide out mood is going to be the backlighting on the slide out there. Beside that, we have your slide room in and out switch. When operating your slide room, it is very important that you come fully in or extend fully. Avoid short bursts. What can happen with the Schwintek system is, since it is 2 independently geared motors, it can actually bind in its opening if you don't come fully in or go fully out. It does have an electric brake on the system, so just hold the switch until it stops. Up top here is going to be your Carefree awning control. It is equipped with wind protection and it is a one-touch awning. To operate it, both doors do need to be in the closed position. You will go ahead and turn that switch on and then hit the direction that you're trying to go. Again, you need to hit the button once. It will fully extend. Same when you retract. If you need to stop it at halfway, just hit the button again in the direction you are going. For that wind protection to be in effect, this switch does need to be in the on position. Other than that, we have an outlet here. Down low, we have your fire extinguisher. It is very important to test your fire extinguisher every time you take the unit out by pushing this green button here. If that tab springs back, then you do have life or pressure left in the unit. If not, it is time to replace. Coming over here to the dinette, you have lockable drawers here. It is very important that these are unlocked before opening. And to lock them in the in position, you just push the button in. Again, we have that push button switch there to turn that light on and off. Or if we choose to operate the dimmer here, we can do so as well. Dinette makes a bed. To do so, you would go ahead and unlock the locking bar here that will allow that tabletop to drop down. What we're aiming for is to have that tabletop resting on these slats here. From there, we'll take the 2 back cushions, relocate them onto the tabletop to fill out that bed. Emergency exit is there. If you are particularly motivated enough, this emergency exit will open fully and allow you to climb out very much like a doggy door. Of course, remove the screen first, and that will allow you to come on out. Same pull down style shades all the way around here on the slide out. Here in the kitchen, pretty standard stuff when it comes to your fixture here. You have different modes as well as that pull down sprayer. Stovetop does have a sparker igniter on the stovetop itself. Oven is going to be lit kind of that old-fashioned way with a long stem barbecue lighter and the pilot. So you'll open this up, hold this to pilot. While holding this in, you're going to take your long stem barbecue lighter and apply your flame in between those two prongs there. That will allow that to light. You'll do that all while holding that pilot light there. While we're down here on the floor, we have your carbon monoxide LP leak detector there. That is wired into the 12-volt section of the camper, so there is no battery to change. It does have a test button. Will indicate which one of those gases it is sensing via the lights here on the front. And you will, again, want to test that from time to time. Fuse panel breaker box. Everything there on the right is going to be your 110 volt appliances with your standard light switch style breakers. And then everything on the left is going to be an automotive blade style fuses. Not a bad idea to pick up a variety pack of fuses. Keep with the unit. Display panel here. Of course, you have your tank monitors. The more light you see when testing this, the fuller that tank or battery is. Each side of this panel does indicate a separate level of measurement there. Battery voltage is going to be on the left, tanks will be on the right. And again, the easy way is the more light you see, the fuller each one of those is. Water pump switch, that's how we're operating the unit for you today, as well as if you are doing any off-grid or boondocking, you will need to operate that water pump or need that water pump on to pressurize that system. Water heater switches are next. Again, dual source water heater, runs on either gas or electric or both. If we're running it there on both, that's going to give you a recharge rate of 17 gallons per hour. Next in terms of efficiency is going to be gas, coming in at 15 gallons per hour, then electricity at 11 gallons per hour. So you'll use those as those sources present themselves. Galley lights here. Just the backlighting there of the cabinetry, as well as the soffit lights there. TV area. You'll look here for a little ribbon, should be hanging on the underside of the TV, maybe a little hard to see. That goes ahead and unlocks the TV there. And you can feel free to directionalize that as needed. It is very important that this TV is in place when going down the road, especially before bringing in the slide. On the back side of the TV here, you're going to find your antenna booster plate. You will know you're there when you have a little push button with a green light. As long as that green light's on, that's going to be powering the rooftop antenna to allow you to get any over-the-air television. If you're running a park cable service or an aftermarket satellite package, that green light would need to be off to allow that cable signal to bleed through. Now that corresponds with this antenna here. You do have a secondary switch on that antenna, but that just controls your signal indicator here. So if someone is out here sleeping, they may find that light intrusive, so you can turn that signal indicator off while still having the appliance on. So this is what they call an always up antenna. You don't need to put it down. There is no travel position, anything like that. What you do here while watching the signal indicator is rotate this. This runs, you know, almost all the way around, but then does have a stop position, and then you got to come back the other way. So in theory, you search out the best signal here. Once you get as many lights as you can, you go ahead and do your channel search on your television. That's going to bring you in any over-the-air television that is available. And again, for that to be working, it does need to be turned on here behind the TV. That brings us down here to the stereo, CD, DVD, AM/FM radio, Bluetooth, HDMI ARC capability with the television. So what that means is when you are in this HDMI ARC and set up properly through the television, any over-the-air programming that you are watching via from the antenna will play through the speakers, kind of give you that surround sound kind of feel. If you're watching a DVD, just insert it into the slot. It's going to give you those menu options. And then your main mode button is here. Again, AM, FM radio, Bluetooth, CD, DVD, multiple auxiliary ins, USB, 3.5 millimeter jack there. One thing to be aware of is that you do have separate zones in the camper that will be controlled separately with the volume knob. So you cycle through the zones here. Of course, zone A being the kitchen area of the camper, zone B being in the bedroom, and zone C being the outside. Does have its own service manual. If you have any questions further than that, either consult the manual or feel free to give us a call. Refrigerator controls here. Single mode button, of course you'll come to it, it'll be in the off position here. You'll go ahead and turn it on. It'll do kind of like a little boot mode, will indicate what it's running. Then we have the mode button here. This little droplet is going to indicate LP gas, liquid propane. It's a good indicator with the drop there. From there we can go into the A with a plug. What that's indicating is that we are in auto AC mode. If of course it prefers AC when it is in auto. If we interrupt that power supply, that means the refrigerator is going to automatically start lighting on gas. If we hit it one more, that's going to set us into just straight AC mode. If I were to go out and interrupt power to the unit, it's just going to shut down. It's not going to try lighting on gas. And then standalone gas. And then we have your temperature control here. The more snowflakes you see, the colder it is. Handles are on the top for the refrigerator and the bottom for the freezer. Behind me we have your thermostat here. Again, single mode button is going to take you through the modes here. Of course, up or down is going to be temperature control. So first up is going to be fan selections, low, medium, and high, or excuse me, low and high. Then next are going to be your air conditioner, fan speed, things like that. If you go to either low or high, that fan is going to run indefinitely whether it reaches that temperature or not. You'll cycle through till you see the mode, the auto, cycle through the modes until you see that auto function. With that in place, that's going to go ahead and reach a certain temperature, your designated temperature, and shut off. If we cycle through those modes a little further, that's going to take us into the heat or furnace mode. Once it realizes what I'm doing, it's going to kick that air conditioner off, kick that blower mode on. After that, 16 seconds after it kicks that blower motor on, it's going to actually ignite. By that 30-second mark, it's producing heat. So, again, just cycle through here with the mode button until you find your selection that you are looking for. Give it a few seconds and it should turn on. Solar charge controller up top here. This is just a visual reference to kind of what is going on behind the scenes. Think of this charge controller as the kind of brains of the operation. Although you don't really have much control over that solar setup, this kind of dictates whether it's in use or not. This will take in energy as needed. Once your battery bank is full, it's going to stop intaking that energy. You can get visual readouts here as to your battery voltage, how many amp hours you are taking in, so on and so forth. So to cycle through those, you can use these buttons here, and it will correspond there. So again, not really much that the casual consumer really uses this to dictate, but if you are inclined to do so, it will give you that useful information. Cabinetry here, of course you have a little lift tab there for that drawer, and of course your pocket door here will go ahead and slide. Bathroom door here. Inside the bathroom, you are going to have a vent fan here. Very important that these vents do remain closed anytime the unit is in motion. And then you have a little exhaust fan there to vent any condensation from the bathroom. Pedal flush on the toilet will be a light press to fill up the bowl, full press to flush. Shower, of course you want to make sure the doors are locked when you're going down the road. Keep them from swinging back and forth. Other than that, you'll find a on-off switch here on the head. That is going to be to conserve the use of hot water. Other than that, again, same kind of fixtures that you're going to find throughout the unit, along with the cabinetry here in the bathroom. So. Good time to bring up the light fixtures here. All throughout the unit, you're going to find very little switches for the actual fixtures. They are going to be right on the fixture itself. So you'll have a slider switch. And again, very, very few of those are controlled with an actual wall switch. So you will be turning those on and off independently. Again, kind of the same kind of cabinetry you're going to find throughout the camper here. The soft closed drawers. This lighted cabinet is nice. Again, not really too terribly much to be said about that. Coming here into the bedroom, we have your fantastic vent fan here. This is going to be operated with the remote here. Of course, you turn on the fan with that button dead center top. We again can choose a fan speed here within 10% increments or a temperature or both. So we can set a fan speed with a designated temperature that's going to maintain that fan speed and that temperature throughout the night, kick on and off as needed. You can reverse air in or air out as needed, and there is also a rain sensor equipped with this. If it starts raining in the middle of the night, of course, it's going to go down, shut down. They do give you a bracket. You could go ahead and mount this on your bedside wherever you choose to do so. TV here is going to function the very same as the TV in the kitchen area, although this one is not on a pivotable bracket. So you are kind of married to this location. Of course, both these TVs do have remotes. Standard on-off power switch. Nothing too crazy there. Storage is on the underside of the bed as well. Gives you a nice amount of usable storage there on the underside. Reading lights here on either side of the bed are right there, switches right there on the fixture. On that side of the bed, you have a switch to control the backlighting here on these shelves. So you have a switch here, again, that controls that backlighting. Then you do have USBs on each side of the bed, as well as a 12-volt socket as well. And then a couple 110-volt all-weather outlets on each side as well. Front shade here is going to be a slightly different setup. If you do want to open this window, you do have these latches all the way around the window to open. You can go ahead and lift that window to the height you wish. Tighten up these struts on either side. That will keep that window open. From there, you can go ahead and pull your screen up here. Keep any bugs, flying insects out, or if you'd like some privacy, you can go ahead and pull that privacy shade down. Thank you. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to give us a call. If you need any clarification on any of these processes, we can walk you through most of this stuff over the phone. Thank you and have a great day.